Listen, I've never had any problem expressing my opinions, but what we're doing here is bigger than that. These are conversations that need to be had in an unfiltered way. Drag racing's all I've ever done. It's all I care to do. I respect the history, I appreciate how far we've come, but I want more for this sport, and I'll fight for it. It's uncut, it's unfiltered, this is the show of shows. The biggest names in drag racing. No holds barred. This is the great American motorsport, drag racing. Prove me wrong, I'll wait. Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, and I got to tell you, I am genuinely excited about today's guest. I met this cat like about a year, maybe not quite a year ago, when he tagged me in a random Facebook post asking if I'd be interested in driving his small tire Mustang at a shootout down here in Texas. One thing led to another. Texts got shot around, messages got shot around. Next thing I know, I'm shaking down this low 5-second Mustang of his street car. And since then, we've become good buddies, and his own racing career has exploded. He put on his very own race a couple of weeks ago at the notorious Yellow Belly drag strip down here in Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for my buddy, the one, the only, Jimmy Dale himself, Tom Gunner. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on?
Where's I asked everybody to clap. JT,
sorry.
Bro, I asked you to clap. Mike, oh my God. I said
guys, he coached
40 minutes ago.
Before we went live, he told you to clap for Jimmy. And y'all fucking left.
I did. I said, guys, it's very important. I want everybody to clap.
Me and T love to leave him hanging on the clapping.
It's exhausting. I'm fully exhausted with it. But anyways, what's up, guys? Everybody doing good? It's a happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. I know in between like shipping out merch to your raving fans, this is a big deal for you to carve out some time for us Drag Illustrated guys.
Look at him. He's all about
Yeah, he's got the camera angle, so
he's all about it.
It's more shirt than Tom here.
More shirt than face.
Yeah, it's just a shirt. Just a dude in a shirt.
It's just a shirt. You guys can get it on jimmydaleracing.com. But did you think that last year when we met that it would snowball as fast as it snowballed?
No. However, when we first met, we talked on the phone, we text back and forth, and I was, to be honest with you, and I don't want to say this publicly, like it was super flattering for me because you came at me like you admired. It was like such a weird thing. Like, I want Wes Buck to drive my car. And I'm like, wait, what? Who am I? Why? And you were like so excited about it. And you told me that you worked at Nitrous Express and you wanted me to come over to Wichita Falls, Texas, and we were going to go make some shakedown runs. And when I showed up at Nitrous Express, I was actually on a tax planning call with our controller here at Drag Illustrated, Nancy Copen. And it was like a stressful moment. And we're like going over this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting in the parking lot and you sent me a text like, you all right, bro? Because I'd been sitting out there for like a half hour. And anyways, I finally go inside and I'm like I said, I'm stressed out. And you guys acted like the president was showing up. And I'm going, it was such a humbling, surreal experience for me personally. Like you guys were all excited that I was there. And it was a real moment for me personally, to be honest with you. And then we spent the rest of the day at the racetrack, making
Wichita Raceway Park.
Yeah, Wichita Raceway Park. Yep. We go over there. We have a bunch of fun. You're giving me, it was you yelling at me about, hey man, we got to do better burnouts than this. We don't want people thinking you're a bitch, and hey man, you got to rev this thing up, and it was just the fun. It was some of the most fun I've had in a long time. But you looked me square in the face, man, and you said, hey, I've made a conscious decision. You said this to me. You go, I've made like a decision that I'm going all in on this. Like, I know I can make this happen and I'm going to do it. And we're like, what, 7 months later, roughly? And you're shipping out merch orders. You've been on the Discovery Channel multiple times. Like big shit's you put on your own race a couple weeks ago. I mean, big shit's happening, buddy. Like, I can't hardly believe it.
It's crazy. But you know why we were so excited at NX when you came is because, and I always talk to my guys at Not Just Express about this, we all want to race for a living. Like, that's all we care about is being drag racing for a living, right? So anytime someone comes around and they have the same goals, and I'm not just stroking your fucking ego here, but anytime someone has the same goals, it's very exciting to be around them, right? Because we both have the same vision to do this for the rest of our lives. Like, this is really my passion in life. This is what drives me. It's drag racing. So whether it's shipping out merch or figuring out the website, or just the other day, like Miss Vicky had to teach me how to print labels off the printer. Bro, I was telling you, I was handwriting 300 orders for Jimmy Dale merch. Like, you want to talk about
slapping a label a minute ago, man. You got so many orders, you can't even stop for the show. You got to get those things out.
Why don't you tell us? Like, you've seen some of this happen. Like, so for those that don't know, you've been around this no prep small tire stuff for a hot minute. This isn't like a new revelation. It's not a new endeavor for you.
I got emails from 2013 where I emailed Drag Illustrated. When I lost my job in insurance, I messaged Drag Illustrated via email trying to get a job following no prep. And this is like 2013 when I got fired. Right?
You're lucky that we missed that email, dude. That could have just gone.
That was a rough time period for those of us here at Drag Illustrated.
I did get a response. It didn't go missed, and we actually had some conversation back and forth. But long story short, at the time, it was one of those things. It's like, it's just not what we're trying to cover right now. And no harm, no foul. Look where we are now. Sitting here on the Wes Buck podcast.
I passed it, and then Wes put unhireable on it. So
no, he did not. No,
I want to know.
Yeah,
I want to know who
passed
actually replied to this email.
Shit, let me see if I can find it.
This is gonna be good.
This is gonna be bad here
because we get so many. A lot of these emails, just, I mean, it's hard to keep up with them. And like we have our whole setup so that certain email addresses go to certain people, and we try to, like, if it's something pertaining to racing, it goes to like me or Wes, or if it's customer service related, it goes to someone else. But man, it's hard to keep
found
up with
it.
These,
this is not good.
Already found
okay.
it.
This is good. This is good.
Not
All
good.
right. So the title of the email is Texas Drag Illustrated Growth. And the email says, I wanted to reach out to discuss any potential opportunities selling Drag Illustrated in the Southern Midwest. I'm located in Austin, Texas, and make it to a majority of the Grudge races as well as radial tire races in the South. And it goes on to try to sell myself. And I get a response back from a guy named Will.
oh God,
Whoever Will is. Thanks for reaching back out, Will. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, dude, Will.
Shout out Will.
Hey, Will's got shout out Will Mandel. He's got a long legacy.
Long,
it's been a hot minute. Will was one of our sales guys for a long time. He's a country music artist in Nashville. Great guy. What an incredible human being, actually. But we've to that point.
what did Will say?
Yeah, what did he say? That's what we want to know.
Oh no, this is going.
Let me see. I sent him a.
Will's a great guy, but he was probably like, what kind of racing?
Yeah.
He was our sales guy, not necessarily.
I even sent follow-up emails, but it's only showing me my end of the deal. So maybe I never got a response.
Well, hey, and I'm glad you got something. There was a solid name drop there. Like, we've totally identified that this was a real happening. But literally, we're 10 years from that, Jimmy Dale, and now you're
February 22nd, 2016. I apologize.
Okay, well, hey, almost 10 years. Right?
Yeah.
What was it that clicked? Like, because I know you spent a lot of time around some of the street outlaws, like royalty, if you will. So why don't you tell us a story about, like, was there a certain instance or something that you heard one of these guys say? Like, what put it in your head? Like, oh man, I want to pursue this. I want to pursue racing for a living. Was there something that you saw happen? What was it that, like, really flipped the switch for you in your head?
I think any guy who races small tire no prep in the U.S. probably would like the opportunity to race on Street Outlaws. I don't want to say it's the end-all be-all goal, because the end-all be-all goal is to have your own YouTube channel. And I was talking to Chief the other day, and he made a good comment. He said, when you're on YouTube, you get to choose your own journey. And when you're Street Outlaws, you're up for, you know, whatever Sam tells you to do, you know. It's kind of like, hey, jump. All right, how high type of situation. And I don't think anybody is excited about a jump how high type of situation, right? Like they had us in California during Thanksgiving. That was whack.
Do you think that, like, well, I think that's an interesting point. So what you're trying to say, and we're seeing this. So like, it's no secret that Big Chief, Justin Shear, longtime friend of the show, he's been on here multiple times. He's been on the cover of the magazine. I consider him a buddy still to this day. We don't talk a lot. Like, I'm not trying to be Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. We used to talk more. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but
he's a quiet dude.
He is a quiet, but I appreciate he defected right from the Street Outlaws deal, but I do appreciate 100% of what you're saying. Like we kind of operate in a similar world with Drag Illustrated. We want to create like our own platform. We don't want to be beholden to any one sanctioned series, TV channel, person. We've never wanted that. We've always wanted to maintain our independence, and that's driven the bus here since day one. So I appreciate that a lot, and it is amazing the platform that YouTube provides. Like, I mean, you can basically be the star of your own TV show. You can sell all the commercials and plugs and everything you want to sell, and all the money goes to you. Sell your merch. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But when you look at all that, we experienced this last October. We were at, you were there, you were running your car. We were at the Texas Motorplex, the legendary Texas Motorplex. Shout out to the squad out there. And we were at MPK. We were all there. And I missed Friday. I had something going on. I was busy. And I called Mike Friday night. And I said, Mike, how was the race today or whatever? And he goes, bro, you can cut the tension out here with a knife. And it was interesting because you really can. Like it's like Street Outlaw Survivor Island. Everybody's willing to slit one another's throat.
What it is.
Everyone is like trying to maintain their piece of the pie, and everybody's afraid they're going to get voted off. It's very interesting. And I personally, as I'm sure enticing as that is for a racer, I don't know, man. I'm not totally like I think that'd be tough.
You kind of need one without the other, though, right? Like that's going to help you build that platform on YouTube.
There's no doubt.
It would take you forever to build that without, making an appearance on Street Outlaws or whatever. And
it definitely
it's
helps.
a shortcut. It's a shortcut. No doubt. Because there's people on Street Outlaws that have significant, like meaningful following on social and on YouTube now that, in my opinion, would otherwise never have it. No chance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No chance. Like,
if you're talking about Reaper, just say it, bro.
No, hey man, I think I watched some of Reaper's videos the other day. Reaper don't like me.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't like a lot.
He doesn't
of
like
people.
me.
He
At
doesn't
all.
like me either, bro. If you don't like me,
Really?
you got
Why?
a problem, bro.
Reaper doesn't like you? Well, Reaper doesn't like me because, and I'll tell you why. Like, if we're airing out dirty laundry, Reaper doesn't like me because when No Prep Kings was just getting started, and this is a true story, he called me a lot. He was calling me all the time, and he wanted Drag Illustrated to come and be a part of it. And I told him I was interested. Like, I liked the idea. I liked what was happening. However, in that moment, and I'm not, I don't know all the inner workings, but there was a lot of people involved. And there was like, this guy's counting the money, that guy's taking and there was just a lot of weird. And I told him, part of what we've done at Drag Illustrated and part of and this is me being transparent, part of our song and dance is like, we're Switzerland. We try to keep our nose clean. We don't get involved in these backdoor. I don't want any drama. Like, there's enough drama inherently that I don't want to pursue drama. And I told him, when this thing I get it. But like, when that whole No Prep Kings thing was just starting off, it was kind of like a sideshow, and I just wanted to kind of keep our distance until whatever the problem was kind of got fleshed out. And I kept getting these phone calls.
It was the first foray for that series onto, national event tracks, actual drag racing facilities. Because we've had to do the dance with the street racing deal from the start. And when Street Outlaws was strictly on the street, that was especially a dance. So it was like, it was too early to see what MPK was going to become. And that it was going to become more of something that actually fit what we were, trying to cover.
But what you were saying with the tensions being really high, that makes it the hardest race to go to. And then you pair that up with being in your own backyard. Imagine every person you didn't like in high school happens to be at the racetrack that weekend, right? And then
it's the last race of the season too, and there's championships on the line and all
that Kai Kelly stuff.
Kai
Kelly was chasing the championship with Ryan Martin, and some could say that Ryan Martin may have fumbled that first race on purpose for TV show ratings, which he would argue to the death he didn't. But
how much of that stuff do you think actually happens?
I think it happens more often than you guys could even count. I really believe it happens so often. Like, I don't want to say the racing's not real. The racing's definitely real, but there's so many conflict of interest along the way. So since you have a financial conflict of interest, it makes sense to either not run your car all the way out because the guy that's paying you wants the best show he can possibly get. You know, and now Sam's probably watching this like, well, there goes your opportunity to ever be back on the show. But that's fine. You know, the truth is we weren't ever getting paid enough to be on the show in the first place, you know?
Well, and hey, we're big fan. Like I say this all the time, and I it's such a tough position because we can't have it both ways. I feel like our sport a lot of times wants it both ways. Like we want to be the biggest deal. We want to be in the same breath, mentioned in the same breath with NASCAR and Formula One and everything else that happens. But we also don't want to have any of these like tough conversations. You know what I mean? Like we don't. It's a tough conversation, man. And it's because one of the things that happened to us last year, and I find this interesting, is we did our first ever Drag Illustrated Racer of the Year award. And we gave that award to Ryan Martin, right? And I stand by it.
He'll be back.
Yeah, Tom gone. I stand by it.
While I work.
No, I stand by it. Like I told my dad and I got into a big tiff about it because he's like, let me get this straight. Fucking Todd Tutterow is nominated for this award.
Oh, yeah. I heard a lot about this too.
Okay, let me just, and this is my father who's supposed to love me, you know, debatable. He goes, Wes, so I'm just trying to run through this scenario in my head. I got my new magazine. So Todd Tutterow and Greg Anderson are nominated for Racer of the Year. And you give it to Ryan Martin. I mean, it was like a whole rift for about 3 months, you know? And his argument was, I think, you know, I don't know how much of that stuff's real, blah, 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 blah. And it's a tough situation, but it does kind of beg, we've thought about it moving forward. Can we really mention the cast of Street Outlaws at the highest level in the same breath of all these pro racers? I don't know that we can. You know what I mean? Because it's a show first. And NHRA is a race first. It's a competition first. PDRA is a competition first. World Series of Pro-Mod is a competition first.
Yeah, but he went out and donkey-stomped everybody, though, man.
Show up to think that Ryan Martin.
So you're completely ignoring, JT, real quick, you're completely ignoring what Tom's saying? He donkey-stomped everybody?
Well, I mean, I get that he maybe had to lay off a couple for some ratings, but I mean,
we were looking at though. We judged that award.
He was that dominant that he needed to lay off to get some ratings because he couldn't.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, that's how dominant he was.
If Ryan Martin went NHRA Todd Tutterow, if Ryan Martin went NHRA Pro Mod racing next weekend in Charlotte, what would happen?
Well, I don't know about
JT
by the end of the year.
Any combination. Yeah, give him all of them. What would happen?
Well, he wouldn't win. I mean, he would. But that's switching. But that's switching. Well, no, dude, it's basically like switching. You know, like that's not the car he's running. That's not what he's been testing. You know, like
he would.
But what do we say? Like Stevie Jackson all the time. Like, oh, whatever Stevie gets, he's gonna go win in.
Oh, I think that he would figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah,
I think he's got a team behind him. Yeah, that would get it figured out.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, just to sum it up, that cover that's actually right over JT's shoulder right now, we judge that based on a variety of factors, not just on track racing performance. And Ryan, we believe, sort of headed the charge of bringing drag racing onto TV every day. I could turn on Discovery Channel right now, and it's probably going to be Street Outlaws, and bring it to a wide audience. And like if you were there that day, Wes and Tom, you guys were there for that MPK race, and we had just been there for the NHRA race a few weeks prior to that, I believe, right?
And 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, and the line to get in. Now the NHRA race was very well attended, and nothing against that. But the traffic,
talking politics,
the line to get in, the number of people trying to get into that deal, all the people in the stands, that's what we were basing it on. And not only that, but just the TV exposure and bringing drag racing to the masses. That's a lot of what we were basing. Who's going to
sell more magazines, Ryan Martin, or who was that other guy you were talking about?
Todd Tutterow. No, and hey, listen,
that is. I love Todd Tutterow, but I don't know who you are, bro.
But hey, listen. Point. I mean, that's like the ultimate. I say it all the time. Anybody who bags on Street Outlaws is jealous. There's no doubt. Like, because there is no doubt at all that they've done more, in my opinion, than anybody in probably, I mean, for years, to bring drag racing to the mainstream. Like, to Mike's point,
to Sam for doing all that hard work and getting all those guys to cooperate and show up. But
that's why your dad was mad, because, you know, like, Tyler was somebody that he looked up to and that he considers, you know, the best of the best. And then he doesn't know about this over here yet, right?
Oh yeah,
that's not what he's followed his whole life, and that's not what he's looked up to his whole life. And you know,
it's not hardcore traditional drag racing. But like Tom, he says he doesn't know who Todd Tutterow is, right? So you have these two factions, and we started out the show talking about walking the line, bridging the gap between all these cliques of drag racing, and sort of bringing all those names together. I forget the other names that were on our Racer of the Year list, but Greg Anderson, Todd Tutterow,
Matt Smith,
several others. You throw nowhere else are all those names thrown together and talked about in one single breath, and it's challenging, and you're gonna catch stuff like that. But I think we still stand behind that choice.
Well,
no, and like I'm not questioning it. Like, just for clarification, I'm a big Ryan Martin guy, and I'll tell you real quick, just what I told my dad is, I said, when I called Ryan Martin to talk to him about being on the cover of the magazine, this dude was on the side of the road, some dusty ass side road, you know, in McAllen, Texas, down by the Mexico border, putting a motor in his car, right? And that's not lost on me. Like, I don't care if they race on TV, on Mars, on PBS, I don't care. The fact these guys are as real as the day is long. There's no doubt in my mind that the talent, the effort, the energy, everything that goes into competing at a high level in drag racing, there's no part of this sport that's easy. None of it. So I don't have any regrets or I don't have any second thoughts about putting Ryan on the cover of the magazine, but I do think it's an interesting conversation to have. It's just like, going back to that whole thing of you can't have it both ways. I hear it all the time that Street Outlaws is a show first, a race second, you know, and I don't think we can, they'll tell you that. Yeah.
And like, just talk to us a little bit about that, Tom. Like, we were talking in the green room before this. What's up, Josh Menson?
Four of the coolest dude.
Yeah. Josh, you're one of my favorite people in the world now.
We were talking about this before the show started, and we see a lot of people, the comments, a lot of discussion, especially on the show that you were on NPK, about the light, jumping the light, the, you know, instant green, the flashlight, and like analyzing frame by frame footage and all this stuff. How much of that is discussed while you guys are filming this, and just let's sort of peel back the veil a little bit on how they sort of look at that type of stuff.
Let's do a side-by-side comparison. Okay. We went to Fastest in America. Every single race, even if it's blatantly obvious that it was not a jump or that it was a jump, they argue, bicker, back and forth. There's an hour of arguing, right? I think on the episode Monday, they said, if we can't decide in 3 minutes, guys, that was 3 hours. We sat there for 3 hours while y'all argued about it, you know? And then I like Bodie to death, but when Bodie says, hey, I talked to Scott Taylor, Kai Kelly, and JJ, and they all said it was clean. Well, no shit, they said it was clean because he's the guy racing. You know what I mean? Of course he said it's clean, you know, and the guy that you're arguing against doesn't have anything to stand on because he doesn't have 1 million people on YouTube, on social media. He doesn't have a huge following. Now, Stephen Sliz is a beast on a local level. Like, he is the John Force of DFW for sure. But when you come and talk about that kind of situation, it's almost like a popularity contest as to what way we go with this, right? And then I think Sam, and this is my opinion, it's not what Sam said or anything, but in my opinion, Sam goes and looks at it and goes, well, what's best for the TV show? I think that's what he thinks, which is smart because it's his baby and he's put so much effort into it. I mean, over a decade of work, like that's a no-brainer. But I want to go back to the conversation just to touch base on it real quick. You talked about Ryan Martin, Todd Tutterow, some other guy.
Matt Smith, Erica Enders, I think. Yeah.
No small tire guys in there.
Sorry, Tom.
I see how it is. Yeah. I think small tire drag racing is here to stay, and I think small tire drag racing happens more often throughout the year than big tire stuff. It's facts.
What do you think about I mean, we can talk small tire stuff. I'm a big fan of small tire racing, but what we felt happened, and I'm anxious to hear this, and this is why I asked you before we went live, like what tire was on your car at Yellow Belly a couple weeks ago, because what we saw happen in small tire racing, Tom, and you're operating in a slightly different world. And I'm curious, like, to get your take on these two dramatically different worlds. We saw radial racing going down this pathway of we only run at night, right? We only run in February or March or October, November. Yes. Home run derby.
Home run derby. Yeah.
And I personally, it turned me off. These races weren't getting over until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. We were seeing constant, like, oh my God, how much can they prep the track? They would stop, run 4 cars, prep the track, run 4 cars, prep the track. And that's what Pro Drag Tractor became our kind of inside joke. So we feel like small tire racing started to struggle when people just didn't have the attention span for it. Like it was either a world record or the car didn't make it 10 feet. And that's why I've been such a proponent of big tire racing, because you can race in the heat of the day. You can race year round. I
love that. And what we're doing is we started our Saturday race at noon. We started like 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we raced all day long during the sunlight, and the stands were packed. That's not something you normally see in small tire racing. But since it's no prep, we didn't have a problem with that. And when I mean no prep, I mean, like, let's use Yellow Belly for a good example, okay? Yellow Belly hasn't prepped the surface. They don't have the ability to prep the surface. The owner.
So what do they do? Like, but water burnouts only, or can you use?
No, water burnouts only, no VHT, no type of prep of any sort, right? So water burnouts only, and you would be shocked how sticky it is to the 100-foot mark. Now, past 100 feet, kind of a survival mode, but to the 100-foot mark, it's really good. Really good.
I mean, and that's for my 2 cents. Small tire racing, if we're talking about cars that look like cars, I think there's so many things about small tire racing that I like. Relatable. I'm not going to say affordable, but I mean, like your car, very basic. You know what I mean? Like a small block Chevy with a cast aluminum manifold, a single carburetor, a plate system. I mean, it's not completely impossible. It's not completely out of the realm of reality for the average working guy to aspire to go small tire, no prep racing. And I think what happened for us is we, or at least my personal opinion is we probably lumped it all together, right? Like small tire racing is all when we thought about small tire racing, all we could think about was Donald Long. You know what I mean? Like the Duck X events, South Georgia Motorsports Park, the track's glued to the nth degree. And like I said, it's a home run derby. And it kind of lost us.
I grew up racing at North Star. And so y'all know North Star was one of those home run derby tracks. Like
shout out Gene Nicodemus.
Running first round. Yeah, Gene Nicodemus. He was one of the best prep guys ever, I think. But Gene, he wasn't even starting to run first round until 9, 10 o'clock. And then you don't even get the home run derby rounds until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, where you see these, crazy negative DA or whatever. But that's where I grew up, is watching that stuff, getting chased around for stuff. But we're not going to talk about that. So I know what y'all are talking about, and watching all the prep stuff, that gets super boring. So I think no prep is a way for your average Joe to get his foot in the door to a big stage. right?
It makes and the small tire is supposed to be the equalizer. That's supposed to be the thing. It doesn't matter how much power you've got. It doesn't matter what chassis you've got, what shocks you've got. You got to get it down on this tire. But then when you go glue the absolute shit out of the track and sort of take away what that tire was supposed to do.
Right.
It's you're exactly right, dude. Supposed to be.
So what happened was we invent this radial tire, and it's going to be the great equalizer. It's going to level the playing field, and the tire is the limiting factor. And drag racers, being drag racers, going
drag race.
We can fix this. Mm-hmm. The tire may not be that good, but we're going to make the track so good that it don't matter. Right.
And then they went and made the tire so good,
even better.
As well.
Yeah.
So
several times.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
The tire got really impressive over the last 10 years. My car runs a radial tire, a Mickey Thompson ET Street Pro radial with the lines in it. And I run that because my car is sub 1,000 horsepower. So with long travel in the front and a radial tire, I can make it go down to no prep, and it's a lot faster on the radial tire. Like more mile an hour, better 60 foots, more stable, easier to drive. Wes, you drove the car, like it's like
Wes said that was your first time on a radial, wasn't it, Wes? You
on a relatively fast car. I've only driven fast cars that had slicks on them,
it's totally different, right? I mean, the way it feels on a slick, sort of moving around versus the radial is more stable.
Super predictable.
Yeah, I would say it was like super predictable, and it drove really well like a Cadillac. And I'd heard that like over and over and over about these radial tires, but they're also when they go. There's no like it's spinning and you're still making progress. Like if it starts to break, there's no like the way if you look at a drive shaft graph on a radial car, it's like linear and it just dead hooks and goes up. And on a slick tire car, that's not the case, right? You know what I mean? As you well know, Mike, like that's never the case on what you're going to see on a race pack. So it was a different experience, but I guess for me, the realization here, what we're arriving at is that small tire, no prep racing, it's a totally different deal than like what people think of when they think of small tire racing. Perhaps it's not X275. So let's talk about that a little bit. So as you mentioned, small tire racing, it is alive and well. I think it is. There's so many positives to small tire racing, especially these no prep races. The thing I see about it is that it sells tickets. I mean, how good is that for the local yokel drag strip? All these, we talk about the Motorplex, we talk about Vegas, we talk about ZMAX, but those are the anomaly. The tracks that keep our sport rocking and rolling are these small 8th mile Saturday night facilities that are littered across the country. And for them to be able to put on a badass show, bring out a bunch of cars, it's going to be exciting, cars skating around, making moves, but all these things that happen at one of these races, it's a huge value to the sport of drag racing. And to your point, Tom, they're happening everywhere. So let's talk about what inspired you to like throw your hat in the ring and put on your own race. We're 2 weeks removed from the first ever small tire gangsters event at Yellow Belly. Huge event. You guys put like $70,000 in the hands of racers down here in the DFW area. What put all that in motion?
And first off, shout out to the Street Outlaw opportunity. Without the Street Outlaw opportunity, I wouldn't have been able to make relationships with Nolan and Iski. I wouldn't have been able to make relationships with like Brandon Dollar at Low Dollar, which actually that relationship was built at the Drag Illustrated after party last year at PRS.
That's the number one relationship building function in drag racing.
Yeah.
You know how you build a relationship in drag racing? Go buy a guy a beer.
Hell yeah. That's the way to my heart.
Without the opportunities that were kind of laid in front of me last year, the opportunity to throw my own race and be successful at my first race wouldn't have happened. But what pushed me to do small tire gangsters, and I think everybody wants to race at Yellow Belly. I think that Yellow Belly draws people regardless of who you are. And I think people just needed a reason to go. You had people from the West Coast. I had guys who planned months in advance and flew in from Germany, travels to Yellow Belly and spends 2 days there, no prep racing, and he said he had the time of his life.
That was a hell of a culture adjustment. Welcome to America.
Right. Yeah. And it's like Little Mexico at the same time. But what we were talking about earlier about small tire kind of being the new deal, these small tracks don't have a tractor set up to spray the whole track every two passes or whatever you want to say. They don't have the scraper. They don't have the tractor. A lot of them don't have that stuff. So if they can make an event fun to watch with a water burnout only and no track maintenance, it's pretty good. And then you start talking about the guys who are really blowing up on YouTube right now. And I mean, some of these people who are watching down in the comments definitely know where I'm standing right this second because of YouTube.
I think everybody does based on the comments.
I haven't seen the comments, but I'm sure they're showing up. Like these people, I call them Jimmy Dalers who watch the Jimmy Dale show. But the people who watch this stuff are diehard. And they would much rather watch Billy or the old man or my silly ass, goofing around on YouTube than watch a Street Outlaws thing because it's more relatable. It's even more relatable than Street Outlaws is because here's a guy, I think up until I'll yell at him and figure it out. But up until a few years ago, these two guys were digging ditches. They were digging ditches to afford to race the S10 on a local level, and it was a nitrous small block, exactly like what's in Magic Johnson. So I think the fact that it's so relatable is a good, ping for, pluses or whatever. And I think the fact that the track doesn't have to prep to the nines or at all, no prep at all, right? That's great. And then it draws a crowd, right? It's almost like the perfect storm for these small tracks that are struggling. If they can get a little no prep series. What about, I've never been to this, but I'm excited to go. What about Cincy Street Nights that the Tin Soldiers race car guys put on? Like, that's supposed to be a banger. And I think they do one a month or something.
I agree, man. These small events, but it takes so much, as you know, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm to like get people excited to come out to one of these events. Like it takes someone like you, Tom. It takes somebody that's going to fly the flag and get everybody riled up and get the chains made and be the one on the mic. Like it doesn't happen automatically. So like make sure that you recognize your contribution to it, because no matter like that race probably could have happened, but because you were shouting from the rooftops about it, you know what I mean? Yeah. And talking about it nonstop. I mean, that's what really made the difference, in my opinion.
I see what you're saying. It takes somebody like me who's going to use their relationship. This is what I did. I used my relationship with Nitrous Express, which I think a lot of you guys already know. Like I work at Nitrous Express. It's my day job. I'm manufacturer's representative. When I was at PRI, I was there representing a company, while at the same time scratching the Jimmy Dale back, same deal, but I used the relationship with Nitrous Express to get my graphics done because Jimmy Dale doesn't have the budget to afford a graphic designer.
Man, it takes a lot of budget for one of those, right, Wes?
They're pretty worthless anyway.
If you're a nitrous, if you're a nitrous manufacturer, then you probably do.
Yeah.
And a company like Nitrous Express is so supportive of Tom Gunner and the bullshit that I got going that they're willing to let their graphic designer make small tire gangsters. We were calling them loading screens. I think you saw those. Wes, I can send those to you if you want to post any of that shit. But the loading screens did a few things, right? They were sexy. That helps. And then the second part is the racer wanted to share it, right? Because here's a cool edit of a photo they already had that makes it look like it came out of Grand Theft Auto or came out of the gut or whatever, So I think that utilizing that relationship with Nitrous Express is something that it takes somebody like me to do that,
I look at everything. I say this all the time and the guys laugh at me, but like every significant movement in the history of mankind has had one thing in common: a charismatic leader. Truly. I mean, I'm serious. Like, and I talk about Jesus Christ with Christianity. The Nazis had Hitler, right? Affirmative action had Martin Luther King Jr. Technology had Steve Jobs. And I mean, you look at radial tire racing, it had Donald Long. You look at funny car racing right now, it's got Chris Graves. I mean, There's somebody.
Are you saying that Small Tire No Prep has Jimmy Dale?
Jimmy Dale, bro. I'm saying that Small Tire No Prep Racing's got Jimmy Dale. I am. I mean, no, I truly believe that you're doing more. Because here's the thing. You're making it fashionable to not just chase going on the next TV show that pops off, the next spinoff.
No.
You know, you're trying to go create your own thing.
The coolest thing that happened at Small Tire Gangsters was watching Cody Hoffman, who was on Fastest in America. He's on the Dream Team. He's got that LS twin turbo truck, Cody Hoffman. The coolest part to me for watching at Small Tire Gangsters was, I think it was Friday night. It had kind of cleared out a little bit. And Cody comes up to me and he said, "Hey, you care if I move my spot to the front?" I said, "Yeah, sure. Why do you want to be right there?" He said, "So I can sell more merch." So to see the guys who got the opportunity to do the Street Outlaw deal and who are now chasing the dream of racing for a living and not, I don't want to say it in a fucked up way, but not being a bitch to TV. That's, I don't think that's fucked up, right? But
Nah, you're
and
good.
I'm not saying that those guys are a bitch to TV. It's just when they book you to go race on Thanksgiving, and I'm never going to get an opportunity to ever go Street Outlaw racing again now that I'm talking like this, but I'll make my bed. I'll sleep in it. All right. The whole deal of them like booking us to go race in California on Thanksgiving and then having no regard for these people want to be home for Thanksgiving. Kind of like, hey, if you're not going to go, then I'll just call somebody else. That type of Hollywood attitude, it rubbed me the wrong way. So to see somebody like Cody Hoffman move his whole entire camp from a spot that wasn't bad to the very front just so he can get more merch sales, so he can pay for his way to the track, pay for the wear and tear on his race truck, and then hopefully win something to where he takes home a little money. And he did win. He won full-size truck, I think. But that to me is the coolest part of Small Tire.
Real quick, who's got the square body Chevy that's like got a blue bed and a red front? Red cab?
Bro, that's Danny Madewell. That's Milk Mama's son.
Coolest looking hot rod on. Dude. That was the coolest vehicle at your race, hands down.
It's a double frame rail pro mod with a C10 on top. It's
for real.
That's awesome.
It is so cool, and he's gonna kill me for telling y'all this, but that thing's like 2,400 pounds.
Bro, that is a hot rod. Here, I'm gonna throw this thing.
You were the leader, not anymore.
Bro,
yeah, now he's gonna kill me. That's another cool thing about the Small Tire No Prep deal is these guys aren't scared to show times. Like, No Time and Radio Racing, they kind of run hand in hand with the Grudge stuff, and people didn't want to share times for the longest time. And your No Prep guys aren't scared to show times. Like, it doesn't matter.
Didn't we got like 5,000 photos from this event, didn't we, Wes?
Oh, bro, Jack. Let's give a shout out to our boy Jack Barclay. Don't know this cat really, but have kind of made friendly with him in the last couple of days. Dude, he sent me like 45,000 photos from your race. That's no joke. But for real, real quick, at your race, Small Tire No Prep traditionally, I'm seeing a lot of comments talking about Limpy and all this stuff. But you using the tree at your race, right?
So Friday night, I used the tree, and then hold on, sidetrack. Okay. You asked me what made me start Small Tire Gangsters.
Yeah, let's go.
One of my closest friends, his name's Michael Poland, and Michael Poland, we were talking at the end of the year. It's probably November, about PRI, somewhere around there. And I said, we won a lot this year. I think we won well over 5 digits. Let's just leave it at that. But I didn't really put money away for the family, so to speak. Like, the year was kind of a wash. Even though we won a bunch, we didn't really win, if that makes sense. Like, we raced for free year round, even though we won a bunch of classes. So the conversation started like, how can we fund our racing career throughout the year to be able to go do your dig or die, your what's Jeff Thomas's race? War in the Woods. To race all over the country, you need a lot of money up front, right? And last year I took all that money out of my family savings. Like, that doesn't really make you feel like the best dad, right? So we had to figure out a way. We had to figure out a way to fund the racing career. And Poland said, bro, you need to throw a race. This is the only thing you can do is to throw a race. You throw a race, you hit big enough that you can afford your entire racing career for the year. Hopefully you can still put a few grand away, but you'll be able to afford, all that. And then fast forward, we go to Small Tire Gangsters. After Small Tire Gangsters, my car's blown up. Bro, my car's probably been blown up for 6 months, but I'm just too hard-headed to really, look at it. Don't look at it, it'll be fine type of situation. And turns out it had a burned up piston in it. But here I am in Ohio. I was able to afford my trip to Ohio. I'll be able to afford my engine build. I'll be able to afford to race the rest of the year off of Small Tire Gangsters. And then next year, we'll do it again. We'll do Small Tire Gangsters. I'd like to focus on doing one race. Wes, you've kind of mentored me a little bit with hey, this is smart. Hey, I don't know about that. And I think the main thing is knowing your audience. That's the best part. If you know your audience, then you'll be able to stand on what the bullshit you're saying, So
I saw you, and I saw from all the comments, and I plan on going. My dad's not well. Everybody knows that my dad's been really sick.
Oh, if you were there, you'd have been driving.
Dude, it's literally my dying wish to make a lap down Yellow Belly. So that's high on my priority list for 2023. If you want to help me out, Tom. But
2024, when we do Small Tire Gangsters again,
all right,
you got the driving spot. Let's just lock it in.
Let's lock it in right now. Kayla, get the press release ready. Contract signed. But we did talk about this, and I do think it's true. Like what you've got there is people came and had fun. And what happens with with series, especially, I think we're in the era of the single event. I really do. Where it used to be like the hot thing to go chase points, right? Like you talk to every racer and their goal was to go compete for a championship. Oh, I'm going to go run NMCA, or I'm going to go run this deal, or I'm only going to go to this deal because I want to chase points. And I totally get it. And I'm not downplaying it at all. But I also think in this post-COVID world, man, we're trying to have a good time. This shit's all so expensive. It's all so hard. None of it's easy. I don't care what level
across the sport. Sportsman racing, the big money sportsman racing, pro mod,
one
individual rate. Yeah, one event. And I think I've talked to several people about the single event versus series deal. A lot of times the series or the eliminator format that benefits the organization itself, and they know who's chasing points, who's going to be there every week, and they can pay.
Mike, how much more money could we make with World Series of Pro Mod if it was a 3 or 4 race deal? Quadruple. There's a lot. Am I right? Every sponsor, everybody involved is coming to us.
Demand for it would go down immediately.
1 million
%. And it would become less fun.
Yeah. Yes.
So, you do have to resist the urge, because that's what happened to us is the race wasn't even over. Right?
They wanted to know when's the next one.
Yeah, and they're chirping like, "Hey, let's do 2 of these next year. Let's do 3 of these next year." And trust me, I'm easily excitable, and I get wound up like a physic woodpecker. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think you're the one chirping to us.
I was chirping to y'all, guy. I said, "Hey, listen, I got people coming at me from all angles. We got to do more of these." But it
actually wasn't though. Wes was pretty. He
no. Let me tell you what happened. I'll tell you the true story. I went to Gainesville to the NHRA Gator Nationals, right? And I was really proud of that because I was exhausted. I love going to a drag race as much as anybody alive, but I was smoked. I'd been in Bradenton, Florida for 8 days. I was exhausted. I got home on Monday and I left on Thursday to go to Gainesville, right? And I didn't really want to go. And I got there and I'm walking through the pits and I'm looking at everybody, and everybody's just like, it's a grind. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that's at the Gator Nationals they were just at the next job site. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was around a bunch of people that were working construction, and this was just the next job site. And I thought, I never want to see this be the atmosphere at World Series of Pro Mod, where it's just the next one. It never
would be. Not with
us. If there was 4 of them,
it would be hard, man. And it'd be
if
hard
there
to
were
make
4
it
of them,
special.
JT. I don't know, dude.
It would be. It's hard to make something the big one, the one and only, when you do 4 of them. But when you do 1 a year, you can maintain that. But I think that also you're like what Tom's doing with small tire stuff, and even we're in a pretty mature era for pro mod at this point, but match racing and these one-off deals that built funny car racing, Top Fuel racing, even pro stock back in the day, match racing, booking in shows, exhibitions, man, that put money in people's pockets. Merchandise sales, that put money in racers' pockets much more than these series do. And chasing points, that puts money in the sanctioning body and the series pockets, and which is good. We need healthy series and sanctioning bodies, but
not always though. I mean, some of these people that put on series, they struggle with with pulling a great crowd.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are just devoted to having a place for people to go race. So, I mean,
I just think it's changed. I think we've been through, like you said, Wes, we're in a different era now where people are sort of what's old is new again. And we're seeing that come back versus for the last 20, 30 years, drag racing has moved towards this series deal.
I'm going to try to connect I think there's an analogy here, or a metaphor or whatever. I think that you want musicians to go out and like do their own tour, right? Like you want your guys to go out and do but then you want it to be a big deal when that musician plays Coachella or plays your festival. Does that make sense? And like, that's what I think Jimmy Dale's doing. Yeah. Like he's going to go tour, right? And he's going to go to XRP a couple of times this year.
I've been calling him Tom. I got to start calling him Jimmy Dale.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, Tom, if you're serious, Jimmy, if you're just goofing.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
But Jimmy Dale's going to go show up at a dozen races this year. And like, it's going to be important and significant that Jimmy Dale, the headliner, the organizer, the promoter of Small Tire Gangsters, goes to all these races. I feel like it's a high tide lifts all boats type of thing.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to create. Like my goal with the World Series of Pro Mod was like, I want it to be a big deal that Spencer Hyde, the winner of the World Series of Pro Mod, the biggest, richest Pro Mod drag race in the history of the known universe. I want it to be a big deal that he's chasing the PDRA series this year. You know what I mean? Like, I think the PDRA will benefit that the winner of the World Series of Pro Mod chose their series to go race. You know what I mean? And like that, and I think we need more of that. To Mike's point about match racing, like how many of these street outlaw guys, now I know they're contractually limited or whatever, but there was a time when like Big Chief, when he wasn't filming the show, he was at freaking Mooresville. He was at every local 8th Mile drag strip in the country getting paid like real money to make 2 or 3 runs.
Daddy Dave did
Bro,
a bunch of that
Daddy
too.
Dave showed up to Radio Roundup, was putting on a show.
Yep.
Putting on a show. He was going rounds too.
And like that's what we need. We need more of that. And I think that we have a handful of these events that build stars, and then we send those stars out into the world. You feel me? Scott Palmer in the house.
Yeah, dude, the fact that Scott Palmer has any idea who the hell Jimmy Dale is, like, bro,
he sure enough does, man. So what do you think put you on the map? Like, what was the, like, what do you think was it being on Fastest in America? Like, what popped this all off? And then you need to tell us the story about how you came up, or how the Jimmy Dale thing happened, how the name happened.
Okay. So I'll give you the whole rundown of how I ended up on each TV show. Barrett Green and Michael Hollis were reached out to by Murder Nova to put a team together to go race the 405. And so I get a call from Barrett. He's like, "Yo, you want to go race Street Outlaws?" Yeah, of course I want to go race Street Outlaws. So, he's like, "All right, you're locked in. Just be free, sometime in July." Okay, cool. My whole July. It's like, all right, well, that's anything in July was not going to happen. Family reunion wasn't going to happen. I was on standby to go Street Outlaw racing, right? So we go up to Street Outlaw deal. We race. I raced Doc, gapped him, put the Whompers on him before the finish line. He said I bamboozled him, but really just call it finesse. But we beat Doc. We come home, and about this same time, all the Dream Team is leaving from DFW. And so the Dream Team at the time is like Waylon Pierce, Stephen Sliz, Jason Rank, Cody Hoffman. There's a lot of them, right? And I make a Facebook post that said, "Who's going to Vegas that needs a cook and I posted a bacon, egg, and cheese taco I made. Who's going to Vegas and needs a cook? I will cook for the whole team. I'll cook for the whole team the entire time we're there. Just let me go. I'll even pay my own way. And my idea was I'm just trying to go to Vegas to go party with my buddies and watch Street Outlaws at the same time, like live. This is no brainer. So I make this Facebook post and I get a phone call from a guy named John Simpson. And John Simpson was on Sherry Beth's team, the Trailer Park Mafia. And they had a 28-inch tall tire car that like blew the motor up that day testing. And he calls me. He's like, hey, you want to go to Vegas? I'm like, hell yeah, bro. Like, I'll see you there, whatever. He says, okay, but you can be there Sunday. I said, yeah, I can be there Sunday. No problem. He said, with your car. It's like, why would I bring my car? It didn't even click. And he's like, bro, we blew our 28-inch tall tire car up. I really thought he was calling me for me to cook for their team. I really thought. Like, just because it doesn't make sense, right? And so you
could have been Chef Dale.
You pull it. I didn't catch that joke, JT.
Oh, but, sorry.
You're good, bro. You pull into your boy's driveway. I pull into Raska's driveway, and I go, yo, Raska, like, you want to go to Vegas? And he said, bro, they're not going to let me go to Vegas. Like, we had just got back from Oklahoma, and I think he took 2 or 3 days off for Oklahoma. And he said, they're not going to let me go to Vegas. I said, okay. So I called his boss. And I said, hey, I got this opportunity to go to Vegas, but I need Raska. Now, Raska's our production manager at Nitrous Express, but he's also like the guy who helps me tune my car. And without Raska, we wouldn't have won much last year. So I really need Raska. I'm not a one-man band. I'm not going to be able to go across the country. I told Mike Abney, who approved the whole deal, I said, I'm going to make it to about New Mexico, and then one of my wheel bearings is going to blow out on my trailer, and I'm going to be stuck. And then he's going to be coming to get me anyways. And so anyhow, all the guys at Nitrous Express, they have a meeting about it, and they decide that's a no-brainer that we send Tom to go film Fastest in America because it's good for the brand. And so we load the trailer up full of NX gear, and we head to Vegas. And it was so bad. Raska owns Wichita Raceway Park, right? So Saturday, he has a race. And we're sitting there doing the race. And, oh, Tom, why aren't you racing your car? Why aren't you racing your car? And I tell him, I'm going to Vegas. So we're going to go film this Street Outlaws deal. And, oh, man, that's so cool. And anyhow, these guys are racing in whatever class comes up, and it's after first round. And all the racers had already talked. They said, hey, Raska, we're going to do first round buybacks. He said, nope, no, you're not. And I said, well, why can't we do first round buybacks? Because I got to get out of here. So it was like 1 a.m. Sunday morning. We get in the truck, me, my wife, Morgan, and Raska, and we drive straight to Vegas. I don't know how many hours it was, but we roll into the driver's meeting. None of us have slept yet, smelling like a little league football team. And, just start putting on a show. We met Sherry Beth. I had never met her. So after we did the whole Fastest in America deal, me and Smoke became buddies on Fastest in America. And he was actually the one who called Sam and was like, hey, we got to bring this kid to Mega Cash Days. And Sam said, yeah, bring his ass, come on. So that's how we got on Mega Cash Days, which hasn't aired yet, which this may get me in trouble if I talk about that anymore. So I'm not going to talk about Mega Cash Days anymore. But the second question was, how did you get the Jimmy Dale name? So we're sitting in Vegas, and, I'm real quick-lipped when it comes to talking shit in a driver's meeting. I'm not the fastest guy, but my mouth is like a 355 at 211, like roll. So we're talking shit and, going back and forth, and me and Smoke are, biting at each other and whatnot. And a few days goes by of this, and I'm walking back to my trailer. And now, if you don't know this, if you've never been to a Street Outlaw deal, they park you in popularity. So it's like Ryan Martin, Kai Kelly, Murder Nova, Bobby Ducati, so on, Scott Taylor, and then it goes down the list, Reaper back here. And then I'm like right behind Reaper. So I'm walking back to my trailer, and Kai Kelly's sitting there on his trailer with Lizzie. He says, "Yo, kid, come here. What?" He said, "What's your real name?" I said, "No, Tom Gunner's my real name. Like, I thought that was pretty solid. I thought that was a pretty solid race car name, don't you think?" He said, "No, that's pretty good. But that's not what we've been calling you." I said, "Oh, damn." Now, keep you in mind, they called one dude bow-legged. One dude was like Waterhead. Another dude was like Pop. You know, like they had some kind of rude names. And so I'm thinking, like, here he goes. He's going to call me Big Nose or something. And he looks at Lizzie and he goes, "Man, what is Smoke calling him?" And she's, she's stuck in her phone, but she looks up, she looks at him and says, "Jimmy something." And he goes, "That's it, Jimmy Dale." I said, "You know what? I can deal with Jimmy Dale, bro. I can deal with that." I said, "Where's Smoke at?" He said, "Oh, he's over there." I came running up to Smoke. I said, "What have you been calling me, boy?" He said, "Oh, man." He said, "Jimmy Dale." I said, "Big Jim to you, son bitch." And we just kind of went from there, So after that, they start calling me Jimmy Dale. I ended up racing Kai Kelly's car, the Claude car. And Smoke was driving the Claude car. And I gave Smoke the back tire and drove around him. And then Kai Kelly gets in the car and we race heads up and he beats me. How the hell's that work? That don't make no sense. I gave Smoke the back tire, drove around him. Then Kai Kelly says, "Run me." And then me and him run heads up and he beats me.
Did you bet more the second time?
No, it was the same amount. So it was a wash. It was a wash. But anyhow, it made Kai Kelly look really good. And that dude can drive. I can't knock Kai Kelly at all. He's cool people. And Smoke can't drive for shit, but I still got love for him. But anyhow,
didn't they hit you up to come racing with you?
Yeah.
With them? Didn't they hit you up to like come racing with them? They wanted you to like go on the tour. Like, didn't Kai want you to come racing with them?
So I'll get to that in a second. So
okay.
the next night or whatever goes by, and after me and Kai Kelly and me and Smoke raced, JJ comes onto the show, and we're in the driver's meeting, and Smoke starts to say some smart ass shit, and JJ looks over at him and goes, "Man, you can't say shit. Jimmy Dale whooped your ass last night." And that was kind of it, So that's where the Jimmy Dale thing came from. So fast forward, we get back from Fastest in America, and me and Smoke are talking every day, man. What are we going to do to, push this racing career to the next level? And the whole time I'm like, start a YouTube. And I was too scared to start a YouTube myself. I just knew that he had a big following. And we should all still be pushing Smoke to start a YouTube channel because he needs to. That would be good for him. But Smoke and I are talking, and I said, "Man, why don't you come to DFW and race with us?" And so he comes to DFW. I took him to Yellow Belly, and we raced at Yellow Belly, and I put him in my turbo car. We raced all weekend long. Well, me and him were cruising down the highway, and man, we were cutting up on Facebook and putting on a show or whatever. And Kai Kelly called Smoke, and he said, "Man, why don't y'all come crew for me on MPK next year?" And that is a cool ass opportunity, bro. That is cool as shit to be told from one of the baddest dudes on the planet in that type of racing that, hey, he wants you to come crew, sell t-shirts, be a pit bitch, pretty much. That's exactly what he's asking. It's awesome. It's awesome for people it's awesome to be asked to do that, but it's a no-brainer that you can't do that. That if we were to do that, we'd just be chasing Kai Kelly's future, not our own future. So it was easy to tell him no, but it's still cool. That's kind of how the Jimmy Dale thing started. And when I started working at Drag Illustrated,
damn, that email worked out good then.
Yeah,
yeah, bro.
I was looking at my hard drive for it. But...
when I started working at Nachos Express, there was a few goals that I had in mind. And one of those goals was to get this family on board with Nachos Express. Because this family that is so generous to me and taking me in and showing me how to ship merch and like kind of showing me the tricks of the trade, they don't have to do that. And it's just a relationship that we built over time. But it was definitely one of my first goals when I started working at NX was to get these guys on board, because I watched them and I admired them, and I saw that the future of drag racing, in my opinion, is small tire, no prep racing, because you can do it at any track in America, right? And then, long story short, me and the old man end up being good buddies. You know, I send him a text message. Hey, this is Tom, Nitrous Express. Nice to meet you, all professional and shit. And he responds back, I'm not talking to anybody with a green bubble. I was like, dude.
Damn.
Dude. I said, well, it sucks because we're too busy sponsoring shaky motherfuckers like yourself, so I can't afford a blue bubble. All right? And from that point on, me and the old man have just been.
Do you have a blue bubble now?
Yeah, I got a blue bubble now. Yeah.
Let's give it up, right? Yeah. Welcome to the family, my friend. That's a big deal, man. Tom's got an iPhone, man. That's
Wes
a big
won't
deal.
even hire anybody without one anymore.
Yeah, it's a prerequisite, man.
Yeah.
That must have been that might have been a problem when you sent your email.
It may have been if it came from an Android.
Yeah, from an Android.
Yeah, we delete it
because Will probably had an Android.
Oh no, fact at the time he definitely did.
That's why he replied. This is all making sense.
That's why he replied. He's the one that got it.
What do you think's been like? So now that we know the story, we know how this kind of came to be. What have you been doing? Like, what's the work looked like? What's it looked like? Kind of keeping this whole fire burning, Jimmy Dale. Like, I mean, you're talking about. I mean, you told us earlier you're shipping out 300 some on merch orders. Like, I'm not trying to air out people's dirty laundry here, but there are guys that raced and competed for an NHRA championship last year that ain't selling 300 t-shirts online. You know what I'm saying?
I think the fact that I can make people laugh has always been a strong suit. That's how an ugly motherfucker like myself has a beautiful wife. And if you can't make people laugh, then why would they come talk to you again? I don't know. For me, you get picked on in high school, and getting picked on in high school was a huge character building experience for me because it made me quicker witted. Another thing that really helped me out is, I knocked door to door out of high school and sold people, telephone, TV, internet. I was the dorky kid that knocked on your, door and tried to sell you some shit. That was me, but that made me even quicker on the tongue. So
gets you comfortable with rejection, right?
That's something that I think a lot of people need to hear. I think we're in an era where everyone just thinks you just wake up one day and you're on YouTube and you're on Street Outlaws. No, man, you had to go through some shit.
Think. They're like,
kids today think that.
Yeah, they're like,
bro, I worked at Jimmy John's. At Jimmy John's, drove a Hyundai Sonata, and then as of 2016, I sat in a cubicle on a daily basis and watched all of Donald Long's shit on my. I would have two screens, right? And this would be like lights out, and this would be insurance stuff. And I'm tall enough that I can kind of see over the cubicle. So anytime the manager would come around, boom, it's insurance stuff, right? And then he'd walk off and it'd be like, lights out, I remember jumping up. I remember jumping up in my seat, like, woo, when Stevie Fast like flew the shadow, or, I mean, man, those were the good days of like small tire radio racing.
They were.
Yeah.
I
don't even watch Donald Long stuff anymore. And it's not because I don't enjoy it. It's just, it's hard for me to watch. It's not the same names. Like, I'm not saying the names have to be the same, but
Tom, I say it all the time. Like the characters that they had back then, talking all the shit on the internet. I think that's what helped do it. And then the cars were relatable, like you all's cars. And that went a long way with me. And then anymore, the characters have changed. A lot of those guys have moved on, went to do something else, and it's just not been the same for a while, I don't think.
And some of these guys that I've met some, over the last year, I've met some guys whose money definitely put them on the stage that they're at. And those guys' attitude isn't the same as the kid or the guy who like was the chicken farmer for 100 years and then like, I don't know how to explain it better, Yeah. Like, bro, Keith Berry is like idol for me. For me to watch Keith Berry go win Lights Out Radio versus the World in the black vet,
Yeah, showing up late, dropping the shoots on the first. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
I do. It's like this shit happens a lot though. Like the stakes get higher. You know, because that's kind of what there's another analogy that I'm going to use is that's what UFC is contending with that right now, is that the UFC, like the stakes are so high. It's so corporate. People go out there and fight. Fighters go out there and fight not to lose versus going out there and fighting to win. Like it used to be a thing where it's like, hey, dude, I know I've got to go out here and make a statement. I got to swing for the fences. I got to knock this dude out or go out on my shield. You know, like I've got to go make a statement. Whereas now, like the stakes are so high and everybody's sponsored and freaking Reebok's involved and it's on ESPN, all these things. And it's like, as the stakes get higher, the money gets more significant, the investment gets more significant. You lose some of that. You lose some of that. I don't want to say carelessness, but like that reckless abandon that made radial racing what it was. I mean, dudes were going there and it's like, hey, listen, this thing's winging it, right?
Yeah. Because that's what Keith Berry was doing. He was just a pro winger, you know, and real recognized real with other pro wingers. I'm just pro winging it. That's all. I'm a professional winger. I don't know when the next paycheck's going to come, but I'm going to wing it and I'll probably land on something, you know.
100%, man.
He's a professional at early days. I mean, that you described him pretty well there.
Who, Keith
pro
Berry?
Winger.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Pro winger. And winger. I think there's real professional pro wingers like Stevie Fast. That you want to talk about real pro winger, that's a pro winger. Whether it's a sponsorship negotiation, whether it's taking a whole year off because of a neck injury. I'm sure he probably didn't want to do that, but I don't know, dude. Takes confidence. Like, it's awesome.
I mean, dude. I think about guys like Stevie and a lot of these racers, and that I know they don't know that there's going to be another race, and they pretty much act accordingly. And I think that's really the difference. You know, you see these guys that are like super comfortable. Yeah, Lyle Barnett. He doesn't know if he's going to get to do it again.
Every time Lyle Barnett wins anything, you would think that tomorrow is the end of the world and he'll never get to race again in his whole life. And like when I won the Cheap Street, I call it the Cheap Street World Finals, but it was just the Cheap Street Championship. But when I won the Cheap Street Championship, I'm bashing beers together. And then, you know, look at Lyle Barnett last weekend. He's on the top of his Mustang, small tire, no prep. Ding. Small tire, no prep car. Right? Bashing beers together. It looks like he's having a lot more fun with the clapped out Mustang than he does with the elite.
I think he loves that beer.
Mustang. I think he'll tell you that he has more fun racing that thing.
Actually, I really think it's just
a scheduling deal to get him to Small Tire Gangsters. But now that Small Tire Gangsters has happened, now that Small Tire Gangsters is being talked about, now that it's a household, you know, it's getting to be a household name, so to speak. I don't think we're going to have a problem getting Lyle Barnett to Small Tire Gangsters next year.
Yeah, you're probably going to give him the back tire, aren't you?
No, I'm not giving anybody the back tire. Maybe the old man, he needs it.
I just think all these guys, as a group, like as a community, I do think sometimes we get desensitized to how lucky we are to get to do this shit. And like, especially those of us that are enjoying any level of success, like I think about it sometimes. I remember a while back, I remember being at an NHRA race, and I think it was Mike Janis Jr. Mike, his dad, you know, Mike Cruz on his dad's car, crew chief's his dad's pro mod car. And I believe Mike, his dad, ended up winning. And they're losing their minds, like falling down, fist pumping. People are crying, shit's flying. It's a whole scene on the starting line, mosh pit, the whole bit. And I heard this guy say, damn, man, act as if. And I thought, dude, you're spoiled rotten. Like you've done this.
Acting as if.
Yeah, I mean, because they were getting like bad mouth, like they were in trouble for this huge emotional reaction. But it's like, hey, man, this shit is hard. Like, let these guys. I mean, you gotta have that moment. I think about, we posted some pictures Monday or Tuesday night of like the starting line at the World Series of Pro Mod when Spencer Hyde and his family won the final. I mean, you'd have thought. I mean, they did. They won the biggest door slammer drag race of all time, in my opinion. And it's like, good. That's the reaction you want, isn't it? Like, I don't want to see guys clap and walk off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them to.
We talk about that when we put someone on the cover of the magazine. You know, we want people to be excited about it. I mean, you're on the cover of the magazine,
and you get that clapping and walking off shit when you have too many races. When you're doing points races and they know there's a race next weekend and they know that, okay, this win didn't win us the championship. It's all right, let's go to the next one, just
that's a good point, man.
Like you said,
or you've been doing it too long and too dominant, I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're like,
you've
lost,
you're
desensitized.
It's an ego thing,
Yeah.
man. You have to get past your ego and sort of, get like not think outside the box, but just get past yourself to show that emotion. We're trained in drag racing to just act too cool. Nothing's ever good enough. It's not a big enough deal.
Bro, I got a good story about that. So last night, me and, the Hoskins family, we go to Texas Roadhouse. These guys really like Texas Roadhouse. But we go to Texas Roadhouse, and Billy's got the raccoon hat on, right? You can get one, jimmydelracing.com. But he's got the raccoon hat on, and I got the mullet wig. And he's like, oh, you're not going to wear your mullet wig? It's like, no. You know what? I'm going to go get it. I grabbed it out of the truck. And so we walk in Texas Roadhouse. One of us is wearing a raccoon hat. The other guy's got a freaking mullet wig on. And, people are laughing and pointing and having a good time, right? And this couple walks by, and she goes, I wish you would do fun stuff like that. And I hear him say, yeah, but I don't want people to think I'm soft. Bro, that's a problem with a lot of these dudes. A lot of this big time racing. Oh, I don't want people to think I'm soft because I celebrate too much or because I cry when I won the World Series of Pro Mod or whatever. Like, man, quit worrying about looking hard, dude. Like,
yeah, and who gives a shit? Like, it's like other people's opinion is like none of our business, man. You know what I mean? And I want that big reaction. Like, I went into our race in Bradenton and I was like, I'm gonna really treat every moment like it's life or death. And I mean, I'm walking up to people in the first round of qualifying, like, let's go, like shaking people, slamming doors, because it's like, hey, and I always say that, like, in promotion and in life, maybe, like, the best salesmen believe in their product. Like, just like when you were selling insurance, one of my favorite examples are, you can tell how good an insurance salesman is by how much coverage he has on himself, right? Because if he's got a bunch, that means he believes in it, right? So it's like, whenever I go to my races or whatever, if I'm not fired up, if I'm not excited about this shit, how can I expect anybody else to be? Like, if I'm not over the moon about it, how can I expect any of my racers to be, any of my sponsors to be, any of my team to be, any of my fans to be? Like, it starts with me. And I think all these guys and yourself, I mean, the enthusiasm that your fan base has and all the people around you, it starts with you. Right? Like, if you're not fired up and excited, you're screwed from the onset, in my opinion.
I'm totally willing to look soft for a good laugh. A good laugh is a lot better than looking like a badass.
I will like maim myself for a laugh. And and I don't care what I win. I don't care if
make you laugh.
Yeah, I don't care if it's tic-tac-toe, man. Like I'm gonna rub at your face. I'm gonna cheer. You see me.
Yeah.
And here's everybody loves JT, right? Because I mean, he's always after a laugh, always after that reaction, always there to get everybody involved in it. Speaking of everybody involved in it, I want to talk about that. We're gonna take a really hard right here. I was on social media last night. Scrolling a hot minute, trying to get my little girl Sophia to go to bed. She had a really bad cough, couldn't get her to fall asleep. So I'm scrolling through my feed, and all I see is this, like, there's a big ass fight at the Fastest in America deal. People getting like knocked out, like a real. So were you there when that deal popped off?
I was standing right there.
That was in Vegas, right?
That was a real grown man fight. That wasn't like there wasn't any pushing, there wasn't any slapping. There wasn't any name calling. It was just like these and like face. Like, that was it. And they were landing punches. A lot of punches landed. Like, normally a fight goes, there's a, whiff, and there may be a good punch every now and then. No. All these punches were landing. And some of these dudes were big. Like, homeboy who got hit with the helmet, that dude's big. Like, and I don't mean like he's fat. Like, no, the dude's got muscle.
That's why the other guy used the helmet, man.
They had to use the helmet to stop him because they weren't going to just kick his ass the old-fashioned way, right? So that's where the whole swinging the helmet.
What started that whole deal?
From what I understand, somebody in Detroit and Bodie got into an argument on the starting line, and instead of just yipping and yapping back and forth, oh, F you, oh, F you, oh, F you, oh, F you, it was like, well, I don't like that. Well, then get F'd. And then instead of getting F, the dude was just like, oh, here, hold my shit.
Hold my beer.
And then it was on, you know? So I think tensions are really high. I think anytime you bring a bunch of people from all over the country and tell them to live in Vegas for 2 weeks on $1,500, it's going to be a little tight financially, which kind of pushes on your emotion. And so you do things that you maybe not normally.
Do you think
done.
that's part of it? Do you think that that is intentional? That like, hey, nobody's coming out here and like staying at the presidential suite at Caesar's Palace. Like,
how do you think I was able to go to Vegas? I called every single one of my homeboys and called them and said, hey, you want to go to Vegas? And some said nope, and some said yep. And if they said yep, I said, okay, cool. I got the Airbnb booked for the next 2 weeks. You owe me X amount of money, so just cash at me now. Right. And so, boom, they would pay for the room. And I Ponzi schemed my whole way through Vegas because otherwise, like, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And then another good thing for me was the fact that the guys in Vegas, you have all these teams from different parts of the country. Right. And these teams are coming from all over and they're going to ride or die with whoever's on their team racing.
Do you like the team thing?
Do what?
Do you like the team thing?
No, I think it creates drama.
Yeah,
you don't see these same dramas in regular drag racing because you don't.
Yeah, but that's what they're looking for.
That's what they're looking for.
Yeah,
like you said it earlier, and Sam starts every single drivers meeting with the same speech. He goes, guys, this is a TV show that has drag racing on it. It's not drag racing with a TV show around it. It is a TV show with drag racing on it. And that hits home, right? So that's what also made it easier to act the ass in the driver's meeting because you're like, okay, now I'm putting on a show. Like, I don't even have to win at all. I could lose every single race, but if I say some smart ass shit and make people laugh in the driver's meeting, they're going to be like, hey, come on.
Yeah, it's like you're auditioning for a part, right? And
you're auditioning for a part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then if you catch their eye and you say some smart stuff and some funny stuff and people relate to that, then maybe they'll pull you in. But I think that's smart, though. You know, it's smart on your part as well.
What starts the fights, you think, most of the time out there? It seems like this whole flashlight start deal, we were the whole point of we've been trying to talk about this for an hour and a half, but like the whole flashlight start thing, bro, I mean, can we have enough flashlight start drama?
It really
Holy
discredits
shit,
what
man.
we're doing. It discredits small tire, no prep, which drives me crazy. But I do see there's certain situations where you can't have a tree. Like, I totally get it. JJ started in the driver's meeting. I'm getting text messages,
most of the fights start over starting line drama, though, right? Like tire crack, blah, blah, blah.
And it's above an arm drop, I think, right? Like the light flashing is better than an arm drop race, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would say a flashlight is better than an arm drop, but the flashlight's only as good as the person that's enforcing it. And if the person enforcing it is going to bend the rules to however they see fit, then it doesn't matter. Like, I've told people this 1,000 times. I want people to listen really closely. When you go race with JJ the boss, you're not racing, okay? We drove all the way to Las Vegas, and then we got there, and it's JJ on the starting line, and he's got 3 cups and a ball, and he goes, which one is it? And you go, that one. And he goes, you lose. And then he does it again, and you're like, oh, okay, I saw the ball. It's for sure in this one. You lose. That's racing with JJ the boss right there. You lose. That's the name of the game. It's like Big Daddy, Adam Sandler movie, right? I win.
Yep.
What?
What?
So I do think that the arm drop thing.
I love that movie.
So JJ's argument to the arm drop thing is that it cuts down on the bullshit. Oh, either you chased and it's a race, or you jumped and the other person didn't move and you lost. So I see what his argument as to why he wants to do arm flop or whatever,
Yeah, but it's too easy because he's part of that team, and
and you can't have that guy betting on the races, right?
They can say
like, you can't have him involved.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million things you could do there. You could tell him, hey, watch, if I step back with my right foot, I'm going to wait. I mean, who cares? I mean, you could come up with all kinds of different scenarios there.
So, and he says in the driver's meeting, I'm not going to do any shaky shit. And then immediately does some shaky shit. Yeah. Like when his guy came up, and I forgot his guy's name, but when his guy comes up and he's racing Waylon Pierce from the Dream Team in a truck called Yoshi. It's that little green thing, the 1940s small tire deal. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But when he's racing Yoshi, he shines the light. Like, this is JJ's guy. This is Waylon. He runs back and he shines the light directly at his guy, like shoulder to the other guy. That's shaky shit, bro. That's shaky shit. So you can say you're not going to do any shaky shit, but it's kind of obvious when you do.
You think that like that? Will there ever be a point when the juice isn't worth the squeeze as far as chasing television racing? Like, I think we've seen a lot of people do it
right now.
Okay, that's what I'm at. Like,
it's not worth it right now. Yeah. And Chief and Old Man, really, let's give the credit to Bill Hodgkinson. Without the Old Man pushing me to start a YouTube channel, I wouldn't be sitting here at the Old Man's shipping out my merch right now, which I bet the people in the comments that bought a Jimmy Dale shirt are like, thank God you're shipping them, because it's been 2 months since you started selling them.
Yeah, we didn't want to hold you up, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
keep those labels cranking.
Hey, it was pre-order, people.
It was pre-order. Yeah, it was pre-order until the 1st of April. But then my biggest, race of my life was the same week as the 1st of April. So
we know
I
it takes forever to catch up
in the
from
foot
that.
there.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything done that week. So yeah, it's just new channel blues, whatever you call it.
Isn't Cody Baker getting out too now? Did I read that somewhere?
But Cody Baker could go small tire racing, be competitive, and still be home on the weekends that he wants to be home for his family. Because I read Cody Baker's retirement letter, and it pretty much comes back down to he's not getting enough time with his family. And I think
that's what it sounds like.
Me and Chief talked about this, and I've never met this guy, but I admire him a lot. Mike Finnegan is a gangster example of somebody who is not scared to walk away from the money, right? From whatever the TV show may be, whether it's Roadkill or this or that. He's quick to let them know, like, hey, I'm not getting enough time with my family. Like, I quit, and
but there's several other in that spot though that would move on just to race for a living, and
well, and that's part of the whole Survivor Island thing, because it's like, because what they're and I listen, we've been a part of the media in drag racing for almost 20 years now, and I look around our industry and I see how many businesses and whatever you want to call them have been built on the back of like volunteer efforts, like people that are so caught up in chasing the dream and so excited about what they're doing. Like, I was in this category for a long time where, like, if my phone rang and somebody said, hey man, will you come to our race, blah 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 blah, I'm fucking spending my own money, booking plane tickets, flying across the country, across the world, right? I mean, like, to go, because that's how revved up I am, right? And that's how excited I am. And there's a whole world of people like that. And it's it does at some point, it's problematic. You know what I mean? Because you've got to push back, because that none of these people are making these shows. None of these folks are doing this stuff for free or for their church service. They're making money, right?
And the guys that I feel like are still chasing it, and I mean chasing it like they're not being successful at it. I'm going to use Doc as an example, and I'm not just talking shit about Doc. I'm just saying that Doc didn't capitalize on his opportunity to build his own brand. And what I mean by build his own brand is he doesn't have a platform to connect with the people who enjoy watching him other than Street Outlaws. So he is immediately screwed into chasing MPK or whatever Street Outlaw show may be on, because that's the only way he can stay relevant, because he never devoted his own time when he was away from it. Or maybe he signed a contract. See, I don't know these types of things. Maybe he signed a contract that said he has a non-compete where he can't start his own YouTube channel. Now, I think that in the last few years, probably the last 2 years for sure, you've seen a lot of these guys. You know, your Ryan Martin, he's got his own channel. Daddy Dave's got his own channel. Reaper's got his own channel. I think these guys probably renegotiated their contracts a little bit, and now they're able to reach out to their own fan base a little bit better. But somebody like me or Cody Hoffman or any of the guys who were on the TV show for the last year, if you're not using that opportunity of being on the TV show to jumpstart your next career move, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Small Tire Gangsters, whether it's merch, whether it's working for a manufacturer like Nitrous Express, if you're not using the opportunity at Street Outlaws to jump off of it, then you're really just going on a glorified vacation.
We say the same thing, Tom.
Hey,
we say it constantly about oh, he got a phone call about NHRA.
He clicked the Shopify link.
Yeah.
Somebody
ordered
check an order.
Like,
yeah. You know, we say the same thing about NHRA. You know, that a lot of people don't capitalize on it. We talked about it the last 2 weeks, I think. You know, and we had a conversation with Doc, didn't we, Wes, in maybe season 2 or 3 of Street Outlaws at Valdosta.
Yeah,
and
way early
when we got stuck at the airport with him, and he was asking us, like, what can I do to do this for a living? And we were like, good luck.
Well, I mean, you got to build your own, because we run into it like I think one of the things that I'm proud at with what we've built with Drag Illustrated, because like I see people like, oh man, you need to get a YouTube channel, and like, yeah, we are slowly but surely we're like pursuing that, but like people maybe fail to realize we've spent 20 years building a media outlet where we've got tens of thousands of subscribers to our magazine, right? We've got over 100,000 email subscribers. Like, we've got a lot of people that are tuned into this network that are a part of our community. That's what we consider it. This is our Drag Illustrated community. And like, what I'm proud of is like, I'm not scared of getting demonetized by YouTube. You know what I mean? I'm not scared of, you know, we've got a business. We've got like a real meaningful business where people earn livings and contribute to this. And we've got like multiple relationships. Like, we do business with hundreds of companies in the industry.
And you control the platform.
And we control the platform.
It's not, you're not at the mercy of the algorithms, as we like to say. But we've seen, we talked to a ton of people. We talked to Swanstrom. Who else comes to mind that have all said, this is a platform to do my next thing. I've got bigger aspirations, and you know, the people that make the most of it, like you said, the ones that stand out in the driver's meeting or start the drama are the ones that tend to go on to other things. And it's interesting what you said. We're getting a lot of comments about the contract deal and whether there was any contractual like limitations on what these guys could do. But to me, that would run like counter to, I think, what Discovery and Pilgrim and Steve or Sam Corcus are trying to do, because it seems like the more you would get a Swanstrom or any of these guys, the bigger they become, the more it helps your show. So anything that would restrict them from doing their own thing or starting a YouTube channel and growing their own brand, I think that those guys encourage it. So it's I've never heard that. Maybe there's truth to that. I don't know. But
Sam's smart. And he's done a ton for drag racing. The show has.
Well, I mean, we always point to this all the time, is that, and I've had this conversation with Big Daddy Don Garlitz multiple times, and he talks about it all the time, where one of the NHRA's like biggest faults, it was a turning point, I would say, is this belief system that Wally Parks had, that the cars were the stars. The cars are not the stars. The drivers are the stars. The men and women that make these things go up and down the track and have the courage to drive them up and down the track, those are the stars. And if you look at every other sport, I mean, the NBA is bigger because of the brand Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson built away from the court, off the court. Like, they're out their role in movies and shoes and blah, 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 and mainstream media, it made the NBA better. And I think that's one of the things that's held the NHRA back, because for years and years and years, the NHRA ain't trying to sell John Force merch. They're trying to sell NHRA merch, right? Yeah. It's all about their brand, you know? And I think that we've got to, that's what, for me, it's like the coolest thing in the world to think about someone like you. Last week we had Megan Meyer. You probably don't even know who Megan Meyer is. Top alcohol dragster racer. She was on this show last week. She's earning a living going drag racing and she's not on TV. You know what I mean? She's not, she's not on Fox every Sunday afternoon, but she's built her own brand. She's built her own following. She's nurtured this fan base in this community that's excited
She's doing
about
it better
her
than some of the professional drag
by
racers.
far.
Oh, yeah.
Tom right here is doing it better.
Yeah,
than,
Tom's doing it better than a lot of guys. I mean, that's freaking.
But
nuts, man.
Tom's found what he's good at and found his audience. We were talking about Megan. She's found what she's good at with the sponsorship deal and the B2B stuff, all the things we talked about, and is driving down that path. You got to find what works and what your audience is and just drill down on that.
For sure. Hey,
Wild
I thought
times,
of an idea
man.
for content for you guys.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, Wes, have you announced anything about the Racers Club deal?
No. Not really. Next Friday.
You just did.
You just did.
That is what your content needs to be based around. It needs to be based around building a clothing brand that is racer focused, right? Your daily life. Like we were talking about it before the show came on. Like, people want to see the dumb shit. They want to see you maybe interacting with your family. And if you don't want to be that personal with it, then they want to see the cold start of the Camaro in the morning. You know, everybody, Wes drives a Camaro. It's pretty cool. But they want to see the going to the gas station and what drink you pick and stuff like that. Like, I don't think you guys realize how much y'all are actually characters in your own show. And each one of you guys could be making YouTube content that people would love to watch, you know, like whether it's JT bullshitting about golf or yelling at the bar. Like,
He does that.
JT does that, man.
JT does it better than the rest of us. That's for sure.
Or Mike, whether it's wearing polo shirts, you know, you
Yeah.
do that pretty good. Bro.
There you go, man.
Mike just spends his days wearing polo shirts, bro. Business guy.
All day
Yeah.
long.
Oh my goodness, man. All right. Well, so hey, before we cut you loose, Jimmy Dale, what's next? You're putting your motor's coming. The small block Chevy under the hood of Magic Johnson is going to be a 434, right?
It's going to be a 434. It's at Bob McVeigh's right now. We already got pistons. We already got rods. I talked to Nolan at Iski about some valve springs.
My guy right there, Nolan at Iski. Shout out to our boy. Yep.
Hey, and
up,
dude,
Nolan?
shout out to Nolan at Iski because I'm, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, I'm a nobody. Like, you know, I'm not on the NHRA. I'm not guaranteed to be on TV ever again. And Nolan, in my opinion, is taking a chance on me. Just like Nitrous Express took a chance on me. And boy, did it work out for those guys. You know, they took a chance on me when we were racing at Nacona, Texas, like Indian Valley in the middle of nowhere. And like, this place got a grass shutdown, y'all. It's that bad. But they took a chance on me. And then 3 months later, the car that they, you know, the guy that they took a chance on is on national television. And then he's on national television again. And then again. And it's like, well, geez, that really worked out. So shout out to Iski for taking a chance on your boy. And shout out to the Street Racing Channel family and the old man. Like, without the old man pushing me to create a YouTube channel. And then the funny thing about the old man is the second I get a video done, I'm like, hey, you see my video? It's a banger, huh? He's like, oh, yeah, it was great. I laughed. I was fucking laughing my ass off. That was great. What are you doing today? I don't know, just kind of hanging out. Well, when's your next video?
Make
coming?
another one.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
what do
right.
you
You
mean?
can't
I
make
just
enough,
dropped one. I just dropped one this morning. It's like, yeah, well, you got to drop one this afternoon again. I'm like,
That's true, man. We talked
Who's
about
your boys there helping you today?
today, I mean,
Yep.
I'm just kind of solo dolo doing shipping, bro. But like, you got Big Rob in the house over here.
What's
What's
up,
up, Big Rob?
Let's go walk through the shop real quick.
Yeah, that's what I
This
say.
is like the merch area of the Street Race Channel, old man's garage. I think a lot of people have seen this on YouTube, but this is it right here. And I got all my Jimmy Dale merch. You know, your Jimmy Dale t-shirt.
So you brought all this stuff with
So
you
soft.
to ship it from Ohio instead of Texas?
Yeah, because you know what? I didn't know how. I didn't know how to ship 300 shirts. How do you even learn how to ship 300 shirts like that? You have to work with someone who's done it
100%.
before,
Man.
and someone who's done it before is Miss Vicky.
He wanted to use their FedEx account and try to get a better rate.
No, they made sure my debit card was And then here's your shop situation. I think they're putting an accumulator on Billy's Nova. I think it was dropping oil pressure on the pass, something like that. But you want to talk about how like the street outlaw guys are intertwined with the YouTube kids? Like, dude, these are the same headers that came off of Murder Nova's Nova. So when Billy starts building a Nova, I'm not sure how it worked out, but I think it was at PRI. Sean was like, yo, I got some turbo manifolds that'll fit right on there. And so instead of the kid having to fabricate manifolds, like he's got the ones that came off the Murder Nova. Cool. And they're still working, you know, obviously. So this is kind of what's going on. Old man's outside mowing the lawn.
You got to go bomb rush him.
Yeah, let's go wander around. I'm going to lose cell service at some point. You know, I had Kenny Powers out here detailing my car. They take the motor out, and these guys are so good. What would take me a few hours to take the motor out, they do it in 30 minutes, you know, but it is what it is. This is the situation that we got going on out here. We're
going to lose him. Oh, there's Magic Johnson in all its glory right there behind you.
It looks like a monster truck. They said it's going to rain this week, and I said, don't worry, where's the Monster Jam race at? We'll just go to that. Looks like a total monster truck with the long travels in the front and no engine in it. It's just tooted, you know, tooted and booted.
Tooted.
Look, you got Big Rob's, you know, G-Body over here. He calls Warren G. That's Tommy, the younger brother, Tommy. That's his little OBS daily.
They're so small, they sit right on your finger.
Yeah. Hey, the giveaway car, man. Let's talk about that real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. So the YouTube kids have figured out a way to make a living using the subscriber base and turning their subscriber base into a sweepstakes sideshow, if you want to call it.
100%, man.
Yep.
Right. So I think it all kind of clicked for Billy when he gave, was it Bobby Ducati's car? Bobby Ducati had this really clean reef blue Mustang he couldn't get rid of. And it's not that he couldn't get rid of, he just couldn't get the price that he wanted for it, right? So they decided, let's raffle it off. Well, instead of raffling it off, how about we just sell merch, and that merch gets you entered into a chance to win the car, right? So they did that, and now it's kind of proven their business model. So the next giveaway car, and hey, I saw Scott Palmer talking about he needs to get a small tire car. Wes, I've seen you talking about I need to get a small tire car too. If you guys go to streetracingchannel.com and you buy anything, for every $1 you spend, you're entered in a chance to win this Fox Body turbo Fox Body small tire car. That's
Scott Palmer and I are going merch shopping tonight. That's what we're gonna do.
Wes loves Mustangs.
I do, man.
Hey,
I miss my Mustang.
It's got a 331 in it. It's a big single turbo. It's got like 20-something pounds of boost going through it right now. So it's probably making like 800-900 easy. And I think y'all already went 5s with it, right? It's already been 5s. So you could buy a T-shirt and possibly win a whole ass race car.
Palmer says he's on it right now.
Good shit, Palmer. It's a no-brainer, bro.
It is a no-brainer, man. No, it's an amazing thing. And I do want to tell you, man.
Sounds like a scam.
It sounds like a scam. Well, here, I'll tell you a scam, all right? The scam is, since my channel's a lot smaller, right, my idea is if you buy a Jimmy Dale T-shirt off of JimmyDaleRacing.com, you're entered in a chance to drive Magic Johnson. You're going to get to drive my race car if you buy a T-shirt and you win the giveaway.
So the bar for driving your car is pretty low. That's what we've established because Wes has driven it.
What would you rate Wes's driving ability there?
Oh, fuck.
Can you give us a rundown?
Ability, like probably 9 or 10 out of 10.
Oh, gee.
Oh, now come on.
Ability, horrible.
Ouch.
Hey, I was so concerned that something was wrong with my car.
It's just Wes.
Tom, don't start this shit.
Like 0.8 on the tree. He went.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, 0.08. My bad.
I went 070. I went 070 at Wichita. Oh, dude, we lost him in full like.
That's a great screenshot.
That's a great
everybody.
This is what happened. I made a bunch of runs.
Show him your tutorial on how you.
No, and I went 070, right? And Tom literally, I come back around and I'm kind of like, I think that was like probably the first good nitrous run, I believe. Yeah. And the car ran good, you know? And I come back around and to be honest, I was kind of excited. I'm like, oh man, this thing's a hot rod. Cause it was running like mid fives on the bottle, right? On nitrous. And I come back around and Tom goes, hey man, no offense or anything, but can you get out? And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting out. Like, give me a second, you know? And he's like, well, I'm just going to go make a lick real quick to make sure nothing's wrong with this thing. Cause I don't know why your lights are so bad. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So he goes up there, be like, 024, first time. He's like, no, it's just you. Nothing's wrong with the car. It's just you. And I'm like,
just wanted to confirm.
Yeah. He goes, I just wanted to confirm nothing wrong with the car. It's just you that's something wrong with.
Tell us the story. Now that we've got like a permanently smiling, happy Tom up here in the corner.
I probably ought to take a picture of that shit.
What was tell us the burnout story, the first time you did a burnout in it.
Well, all right. Well, Tom's locked up. I hope it comes back around, bro. Like, we may have to bounce him and see if it comes back. Hold on.
Bounce me. There we go.
Oh. No, wait. Let's see what
I can hear him.
Back. I can hear him. He's probably in Shopify right now.
I'm not.
He's doing a bank transfer. He's transferring a bunch of money.
We'll see if we get him back. Boy, we'll see if he'll come back. No, so what happened to me was, and it's anybody who's ever, I cannot imagine, like Lyle Barnett driving Chip King's Pro Mod car. I don't care what you paid for it. You still gotta, like, what I was just saying, Tom, is like this next weekend at the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals in Charlotte, North Carolina, Lyle Barnett is going to drive Chip King's Pro Mod car. And I just personally, like, I can't even imagine the pressure of driving someone else's stuff. You know what I mean? Like, especially like,
you can because you did it.
I know, but I mean, at a super ghetto level, right? I'm driving my buddy's Tom's car.
But that pressure's still real, you know.
Well, but you're also like, man, I don't want to tear up this guy's stuff,
because it is someone else's stuff, though, and you think that, though. I mean, it's the same way as you go in.
I mean, that's like a bitch, though.
Well, that's what happened. So, anyways, I roll up there, and Tom's like, "Hey, let's just go make a pass." Like, and we were trying to run whatever. We had some targets, ETs that we were trying to hit, and so I go up there and I roll into the water, and he gives me do a burnout, right? So I do, admittedly, like a little bitty baby ass burnout, but again, like I don't rev the thing up much. Like it's not mine. Like I don't want to tear up Tom's stuff. And so I roll up, you know, out of the water and pull up toward to the starting line. And here he comes walking over, and I'm like, "What's he doing?" He swings open the door, and he leans in and he goes, "Hey, buddy, we can't be doing a burnout like a bitch like that. Like we're going to be in public. There's going to be people there." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You can't do that. Like you just, so let's just try again. He like, just back up and do a burnout." So, anyways, I'm like, all right, fine. So at this point, I'm a little embarrassed. He's got me in my feels, like it's like a Drake song, you know? So I back up and I'm like, I'll show this motherfucker a burnout, right? So I do a burnout, right? You know, click it into high gear and go moving, right? Do a big burnout. And I back up and he swings open the door and he's like, "Better. We don't got to do that all the time, though. Like, we don't got to do that every time, but much better. We've broken through." Yeah. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. So anyways, make the first, and it was just funny because every time he wanted to like add a level to it, the next run we come up there, do a good burnout, back up, and he swings open the door and he's like, "Hey, put this thing neutral, man. Like let's clean it out. Like let's make sure people know that you're comfortable in a race car. We're putting on a show. There's gonna be a bunch of people at the Motorplex. Like, you know, put this thing in neutral. Let's rev it up a couple times." So it was just we had a ball, dude. I still look back at that as all the racing have done and running around have done. That was still some of the most fun I've had at the racetrack in a long, long time, dude.
It was like racing with my homeboy, bro. That was really fun. I had a blast. And then I did the exact same thing to Tess last weekend. I put Tess Wood in my car at Small Tire Gangsters, and she said, "Clear it out." I said, "Yeah, dude, like make sure they know you're here." You know? I said, do not put it in reverse until you clear it out at least twice. And I mean good. So do a burnout. And then once you're out there, put it in reverse and let them know you're here. Waka! Waka! Now put it in reverse.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. At the Texas Motorplex, when I'm racing, and so who did I race in the first round that we did the $100 grudge race?
Bill Parker, 820
right.
Performance, Bill Parker.
All right. This is a cool dude. What a nice guy. Nice shit, too. Like late model Corvette with a big old Monster Pro Charger on it.
Passionate about the sport.
Super cool guy. And I had just met him for the first time. But Tom says, hey, we're going to get you in a grudge race first round. We're going to get you in a grudge race. And I said, okay. So he's like, let's run this guy. And Bill wants to run for $100. And I'm like, I'm in for $100. That's fine. So, and I'm telling you, like in my mind, this is final round U.S. Nationals with John Force in the other lane. Like that's how I felt. I'm in a borrowed fire suit. I'm wearing a 20-layer fire suit that Tommy Cunningham from Stroud Safety, right? It's like, so, because Tom told me, he's like, hey, man, you better get a fire suit or whatever, because if we put a bunch of pictures out and you're wearing like, jeans, you're going to get ripped to shreds, And I'm like, yeah, good point. So I called Tommy Cunningham. Yeah, Tommy Cunningham at Stroud Safety, and he says, hey, I said, hey, man, do you got like an extra fire suit or something laying around that I can borrow? And he's like, well, I got my suit. And I'm like, the suit you wear to race your pro mod car? He's like, yeah. He's like, I can send it to you. So he sends me his 20-layer fire suit, right? So I'm wearing a one-piece 20-layer fire suit to drive a 530 8th mile car, And so anyways, I get in the car and I go up there for first round. And I literally, it was like, it was Orska Outlaw 10.5 at its height, right? Like, whenever I backed up from the burnout, put it in neutral, and I literally felt like Mike Hill. Like, you remember the way Mike the Hitman Hill would stage his Outlaw 10.5 car? I mean, it was wabba, wabba, wabba. I mean, it was just like test firing 72 nitrous systems, bah, wabba. And I was revving the dog shit out of this thing. But it was like a real moment for me personally. Then I chopped his head off. Made my best pass ever in Magic Johnson. For sure. We won. We had a big time. But then Tom's car, he brought his own car, his other car. Whatever happened to that thing, the brown Mustang?
It's still sitting there in my front yard with a blown up rear end in it still.
So
I never fixed it.
Yeah, Tom blows the rear end out of his other Mustang in the first round, in the first, I think, test run, right? So we decide we're going to share Magic Johnson, hot lap this thing. So we're going to race. So he literally looks at me. He's like, listen, as soon as you get your times, like as soon as you come back around, go right back to the staging lanes. And I'm like, you don't want to cool? He's like, it'll be fine. So we literally are doing, it was what a time, bro. And then Tom goes out there. We're sharing the car. I lose in the second round when the car rocks out of the beams when I put it on the trans brake. Here I am trying to be Steve Torrance, barely bump on that bottom bulb, And as soon as I put it on the trans brake, it rocked out of the beams and I red lighted. Anyways, Tom goes on to win the race, and we get to, I toss you a couple of Mick Ultras.
Oh, yeah. You tossed me some Mick Ultras. And
what a moment.
That was awesome. Dude, that was the first race my mother had ever stayed until the end. Like, she's an older lady. She doesn't want to stay until the end. These races are late at night. And so for her to be able to see me win on that stage, definitely a life achievement, even though it was just cheap street. But look what you win. When you win,
belt buckle,
dude, it says NHRA on it. Like, that's almost cooler than a Wally, bro.
It's pretty badass, man. They don't do anything halfway at all at the Texas Motorplex, bro.
No,
like,
those
that
guys
Stampede of Speed deal, I think it's the coolest national event they have on the whole schedule. I really do. I think as far as like vibe, the only thing I think that's close is the Gator Nationals, personally.
Yep. Right.
I mean, yeah.
When I was at PRI, I'm in the Drag Illustrated after party, and people are talking about this junk. I'm like, I'm telling you.
The ropes and the reins, the joy and the pain, and we call a thing a rodeo.
That's exactly right. Tom, we've had you for like 2.5 hours, dude. We'll let you go. Bro,
let you go.
Thank you so much.
Tell us again. Give us how
to follow.
Plug it, follow you. Your
plug all your stuff.
Give us the whole deal.
So go to YouTube and check out Jimmy Dale, okay? After you watch a Jimmy Dale video, if you're digging what you're watching, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, all that BS. If you want to support the Jimmy Dale Shit Show, then go to jimmydaleracing.com. Oh, look, dude, somebody's going to jimmydaleracing.com right now. They just bought a t-shirt. jimmydaleracing.com. I got my own saying now. If it's good enough for Jimmy, if it's good enough for Jimmy, it's good enough for you. So the whole running joke is all my subscribers are constantly commenting, Jimmy Dale for president, Jimmy Dale for president. And I really didn't have any intentions on making these shirts because, like, what kind of person makes their own campaign shirts? It's just weird.
Egomaniac.
Every politician, don't feel bad. They all do it. Everybody does. Yeah.
But I'm sitting there talking to the t-shirt guy who makes them, and he said, if you order them right now, I'll have them done tomorrow. It's like, anybody who's bought merch knows that you don't get your t-shirts order today, pick up tomorrow, But that was his way of closing me on the deal, and it worked. So now I've got 200. If it's good enough for Jimmy, it's good enough for you t-shirts. Jimmy Dale 24. And I'll put these on the website. You'll be able to buy these. Shout out to Nitrous Express, Iski Racing Cams, Low Dollar Motorsports, Biggs Carburetors. Biggs Carburetors saw my car on Street Outlaws and went out of their way to find me on the internet and message me and say, hey, thanks for using our carburetor.
Wow.
That's awesome. And so now I have a relationship with Biggs, and they handle all my stuff because, they wanted to support me when nothing was going on. So that's awesome.
You forgot. Thanks for the support, Drag Illustrated and everyone at DI.
We were always talking about,
goddamn,
being okay with.
And we're gonna do it. Sorry, dude. We're gonna plug our stuff now. Go to dragillustrated.com.
Yeah,
actually, I do think we've got
your turn, Mike.
We got a bigger. Hey, I'm not the man for this. I was gonna hand this off to Wes. I think we've got a lot of new audience here that Jimmy Dale's brought in. Maybe you're not familiar with what we do here at DI. So, Wes, how can they follow us and follow what we do?
Oh, just whatever Tom does, bro. We'll be there with bells on. No, hey, listen, we're dedicated. Everybody here at Drag Illustrated shares a common goal to grow and build the sport of drag racing, and do so by celebrating the men and women who make this sport great. We've never believed that this sport was about degreeing camshafts. That's not what makes it special. It's not about burnouts. It's not about 300 miles per hour. It's about this community. This group of people is special. I truly believe it. And I'm reminded of it every single day, and especially every weekend when I go to the racetrack. I'm reminded of it. Doesn't matter whether it's Tom Gunner and the squad at Small Tire Gangsters, or Peter Biondo and the guys at the Spring Fling Million out in Las Vegas last week, or it doesn't matter if I'm at XRP with Galen and the guys at Outlaw Pro Mod, or at our own event. All this community of people is special, and our mission here at Drag Illustrated is to grow and build this community by celebrating the men and women that make the sport of drag racing what it is today. And what we're super proud of is that I'm proud, perhaps more so than anything else. And we had this conversation before the show started with Tom and the old man Bill at the Old Man's Garage. Like, we take a big bite here at Drag Illustrated. We try to speak about Tom Gunner and small tire racing with the same reverence and the same enthusiasm that we talk about Tony Schumacher, right? We want to talk about Donald Long with the same reverence and excitement and passion and respect and admiration as we talk about Wally Parks. And I truly believe those conversations only happen at Drag Illustrated. All the things that we do are designed to bring this community together and rally around the great American motorsport that is undoubtedly the sport of drag racing. So, yeah, if you're new to this channel, if you're following us for the first time on Facebook or caught this because of Jimmy Dale, subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/Drag Illustrated. Of course, facebook.com/Drag Illustrated, Drag Illustrated Magazine. We've been in publication for 20 years almost now. We just sent our 181st issue of the magazine out to print with Alex Taylor on the cover of our 11th annual Women of Power special issue. And that's really what it is. We are not bound here at Drag Illustrated. We're not bound by any one sanctioned series or type of race car. Like, historically, every magazine, every media outlet was married to a sanction, married to a series. NHRA's got National Dragster. NMCA has Fastest Street Car. The list goes. iTray has drag review. The list goes on. Fast Forwards, blah blah blah. GM High Tech Performance. We wanted to bring independent, unbiased journalism to the sport of drag racing, and I feel proud that that's what we've done, man. So hey, thanks for the opportunity, guys. Thank you all, Jimmy Dale, Tom Gunner. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Now I would like to thank my sister for hooking up with Wes, because I just like to drink beer and party, and basically
I pay you to do it.
It has ended up with me a job in drag racing, and I think it's great.
Dude, do you know how many people shoot me texts after they see? This is what happens in my life. JT posts a picture or a video of him on a bender, right? Literally out at the bar somewhere, and I immediately get a text that says, "Hey man, how do I go to work for Drag Illustrated?"
Yeah,
I know, right?
That's it, man.
Every single time.
Really well for JT, man.
When I saw y'all at MPK, Mike, the first thing I said to you is, "Where the hell's JT at?"
I said, I don't know, man. Probably in his truck drinking a Coors Light. Typically, that's where you can find him during the.
Oh no, I wouldn't be by myself. I'd be with you guys, like peer pressuring you. Come on, let's party.
Oh yeah,
100%, 100%. Well, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. It's a great day to go drag racing. We'll see you next Wednesday, every 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. We go live right here on the Facebook page, YouTube channel with the Wes Buck Show. We appreciate you guys all being a part of it. Thanks to all the companies that support this channel. I didn't mention any of them today. Stroud Safety, Redline Oils, flowracing.com. Appreciate all you guys supporting this craziness. As Jimmy let out of the bag a minute ago, we got a brand new apparel brand that's going to launch in the next couple of weeks, Racers Club. You can check that out online too. So thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Tommy.
Better guys. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Get back to shipping, man.
Yeah, get back to shipping some